My name is Rudy Voila-Pidi. I'm a learning development expert for a retreat and summer camp, Sand Hill Camp in the USA. Learning and development in an outdoor camp setting is you get a group of kids that you prepare a curricula for, which some of the things you do with them are like high ropes. You take them up off the ground 50 feet. You teach them outdoor living skills. You teach them personality types so that they can know different personality types, but using the outdoor setting to like train them. You facilitate them in self-esteem, self-motivation, growth in leadership, growth in culture while they're still young. So it's pretty much a whole curricula of teaching young kids of how to be better citizens, if I would say.
My name is Emmanuel Agata, popularly known as Agata. I'm a lead facilitator at Bridge Adventures. I'm an alpinist, which means I climb high areas above 2,500 meters above sea level. I'm also an outdoor enthusiast, so I do a lot of climbing, a lot of using ropes, a lot of adventure, camping and rock climbing, such stuff.
So how long have you done this and how did you get started?
So I've done this for about, I think, 15 years now. It all started when I was young. I liked doing the outdoors. I was like in clubs like the Scouts, so we used to go camping, we used to go some mountaineering, a little bit of hiking. Then I went to Daystar University here in Kenya and I joined a club called Dulos. So it's like an outdoor ministry kind of club where I actually fell in love with things like team building, rock climbing, camping, hiking and all that kind of stuff.
I was at Daystar University doing a journalism course. Then during the orientation week, we had this group of youngsters who had made us have fun and just made us gel. So I joined that club immediately after orientation and I saw they had fun. So after a while, we'd go for camping. Then one day, our patron invited us to go to Mount Kenya and I hated it. I was rained on for 5 days. And I was like, I'm never doing this again. But when I got to the top and had that experience, I came back down and I said, I'll go back again. And 3 weeks later, I was back. So I went and did a course in South Africa, a wilderness leadership course. And immediately after my graduation in Daystar, I decided to make this as a career. So that's how I ended up doing this.
And how did you end up in the US?
So while I was in Daystar, one of the students in Daystar actually went to the US to be a camp counselor. So a camp counselor is like you're given a group of kids and you take them through all these classes like their big brother or like their father. So that's how I knew about the US. And I applied in 2007 to go to the US and I got a job actually that December of 2007. So I went there for like a seasonal kind of deal from May till August for about 4 years. Then I got an opportunity to do a professional outdoor instructor course with Indiana University in the States. So from there, after that course in 2012, then I got the opportunity back where I was a counselor at Sandy Hill to a full-time role now, yes. This was an interesting one. So I was first time going there at the airport. I pull into JFK. At the passport control. This guy takes my passport, looks at it, and you're like, so you're from Kenya? Yes. Then I usually have this markets from when I was a kid, and he straight up tells me, is that a bullet hole? So initially when I started, it's just getting a place that would actually certify you and train you, because coming like from here in Kenya, these are some of the things like we do it in a small kind of level, but when you go outside there, they don't think somebody from Africa can actually do this kind of stuff. So convincing them that you're fit for this job, for them to actually invest in you and train you was a little bit difficult at the beginning. And as you go on is when you're doing it in a different country, culture shock, like different people, you're in a new environment, you're not used to working in that environment, the language, the communication.
So the first difficult thing I think is making that choice to climb a mountain, because it's a couple of days outside your normal environment. It's sometimes not showering, spending days without showering, being with strangers that you only met a few days earlier, and then the actual climbing of the mountain. So every time you go above 2,500 meters, the environment changes due to atmospheric pressure, there's less oxygen. Therefore, you find it difficult breathing, which makes you more prone to getting tired. And sometimes that can do a toll on your body. So just having that mental grit to keep on going even when you feel like stopping, having your friends offer you camaraderie so that you can keep on going, and finally getting to the top and realizing that that's just half the journey. You have to come back down and do it all over again. So there's this notion that people say one mountain is easier than the other. Personally, and I think in a profession, I've earned a right to say it professionally that every mountain is hard. There are others that need more grit. For example, Ngong Hills could be hard for beginners. Someone who's never walked over 200 meters in a day would find Ngong Hills hard. But as you keep on going, you find each mountain, every barrier you break is harder. For me professionally, I think in Kenya, Mount Kenya is hard. It's difficult because of the altitude. And then there's the one-day hikes. You'd find Mount Kinangop a challenge because you're doing 2 major hills on the Aberdare ranges in one day. In Africa, I'd say Ruwenzori is the toughest, followed by Mount Meru, then Kilimanjaro comes third.
How many times have you been up Mount Kenya and Kilimanjaro?
So I stopped counting at some point. However, I'd say an average of 60 times for Mount Kenya and about 40 times for Kilimanjaro in the last 12 years.
The hardest mountain I would say was Kilimanjaro, is still Kilimanjaro. I know I'm going to do some that are pretty hard. And Kilimanjaro, not like the first 3 days, it's the 4th and 5th day on Kilimanjaro that are really brutal. From the altitude to the terrain itself. Yes, so Kilimanjaro for me is the hardest that I've done.
Anything local that was very tricky for you?
Yes, I would say I've done a traverse on Aberdare. So it's you go up Elephant Hill, then you cross and do Mount Kinangop, and then back to a place called Tulaga to do a camping. So that is a crazy one that I've ever done, and we got lost in Aberdare Forest. So more than a few people who slept in the Aberdare Forest lost. Yes. So there's this, it was I think 2020 during COVID, just during COVID when Nairobi was open up for people to go outside Nairobi. I would decide to do a traverse from the base of Elephant Hill and cross all the way to Mount Kinangop and then down to a place called Tulagi. So we left Nairobi, usual 4 a.m., got to Elephant Hill at about, we got late because we stopped for breakfast, which is never advisable when you're doing those hikes. So we got to Elephant Hill at about 9:30. By the time we got to the summit of Elephant Hill, it was 11:30. We summited. One of the ladies in our group was really struggling, so we went with her pace. So by the time we got to the base of Mount Kinangop was 6 p.m. and if you're going up Mount Kinangop, you're supposed to get there about 3 p.m. latest, but we're like 6 p.m. So some of us decided to go up to summit and then come down. So by the time they were down, it was 7 p.m. and the trail then wasn't that clear. So we had a ranger and 2 guides. So remember, one of our team members was lost and was just struggling. So we sat somewhere for about 3 hours just waiting for them in the bushes, nowhere to go. By the time she got to us and we started hiking, we totally got lost in the Aberdare Forest. And just remember, this was supposed to be a day hike, and our food and our sleeping, all the things were in Tulagi. So where we were, we didn't have food, we didn't have sleeping equipment. We just had like our day hike clothes and a ranger and a guide who totally lost. So we walked around the Aberdare till like 2 a.m. in the morning, and we were actually being trailed by a leopard. The ranger was behind that could flash the light, and you could actually see the light, the eyes of the leopard. So we got somewhere, we looked for firewood at about 2:30 a.m. in the bushes, put fire, slept on the ground. I remember I slept right next to a puddle of water because we were all exhausted. At about 5:30 a.m. we woke up and the only food we had was 1 burger among 16 people. We actually shared that, like it was like Passover, Pasaka We actually shared that like at 5 a.m. At 6 a.m. we started walking again. We found our path at 8 a.m. By the time we got to Tulagi, it was like at 2 p.m. So they were about to bring like rescue for us, but we managed to find our way off. There was no charging of the phones, there was no network, there was just nothing. Yeah, so we got lost for a couple of hours in the Aberdare, which was fun and scary, but yeah, we were ready to die, I think. Yes.
Now, mountains are quite dangerous places. As I said, the higher you go, due to the atmospheric pressure, the oxygen molecules become sparsely populated. So at Mombasa, you find you have for every 100 particles of air, you have 21 particles of oxygen. But as you go higher up, above 4,000 meters, you find for every 100 particles, there are about 14 particles. That's about 14% of oxygen. So you tend to have altitude sickness. And unfortunately, on one of the hikes, we lost a climber due to altitude sickness, and that was hard for everyone involved, the fellow climbers, our team. I don't think we've ever recovered from that, but we've tried to mitigate that and get to see that everyone is checked, everyone is healthy before they go up a mountain. We carry oxygen tanks to be able to handle such emergencies before we are able to evacuate such cases to a hospital.